Hi, how are you? My name is Matt Ackerson. I am the founder and CEO of AutoGrow.co, as you may already know. And what you may not already know is that every month there are 70 million blog articles published just on WordPress. So that's just on WordPress. All right. And what does that mean exactly for you, for your own blogging efforts, for your own goal of continuously growing your traffic and doing it in an affordable, scalable, repeatable way? It means that the barriers to competition, the standard keeps getting raised as more of your competitors, including you, become more savvy, more sophisticated at executing their online marketing, at ramping up their online marketing and marketing funnels. So what else can you actually do to compete? Well, today I'm going to give you five blog post title ideas that are going to help you do exactly that. Because when you use these blog post title ideas, you'll see how they're hardwired, how our brains are hardwired to um, to get people to click, to get you more traffic. And so kind of this situation or scenario that you're thinking about when you think about, different, blog post types, blog post titles, your content marketing efforts in general. I love the metaphor of like thinking about yourself on a fishing boat, and you just, each piece of content that you throw out, it's another fishing net. All right. And, but into the sea of, say, Google search traffic, right? But the better design that net is, the more fish, the more traffic that you'll actually capture and convert into visitors. All right. So this is all about when you show up in search results, for example, uh, and just so many more people are going to see that blog post title than are actually going to click through. From our own stats here, I can tell you from our Google Search Console that I looked at, I'm actually looking at right now, we got about 100,000 clicks in the last 3 months, but number of impressions, 3.21 million. So you average that out in terms of ratio, that's 33 people that actually saw the blog post title, whatever it was, because most of these impressions are coming from people searching for, topics related to our blog more than like our homepage, for example. So that's a 1 to 33 ratio. So for every 33 people that saw, one person clicked. And it could be a little less, a little more, depending on whatever market you're in. Marketing, online marketing, digital marketing is obviously probably more competitive than whatever your market in, but I guess it really depends. So anyway, let's dive in to the 5 blog post title ideas because we want to get you more traffic. And this, again, very focused on the titles themselves. So the first blog post title idea is structuring it as a how-to. Okay, so you've seen these all over the place. It's a very standard, title format for a piece of content. There are entire websites, I believe WikiHow might be one of them, that are just built off of creating how-to content. So for example, according to BuzzSumo and research that they did, how to make were listed as 2 of the top 10 B2B headline phrases that would actually garner the most amount of impressions and clicks. How to blog articles are the 4th most common type used in highly shared articles, according to CoSchedule. And, in terms of when you actually structure this type of a title, your readers are more likely to click the title if it is crystal clear what exactly they're going to get inside. And this is applying what we call the law of clarity from our framework, which we call the 11 laws of sales funnel physics. So the law of clarity basically says that people convert to the degree that they understand what they are getting. And sales funnel physics is, more directly tied to actually driving buying decisions. But you can also apply it in a case like this, where the conversion we're talking about is seeing your blog title shared on social media or seeing it in Google search results. And in either of those cases, the more clear that you can be, the more likely it is that someone is actually going to click through. Okay. Blog post title idea number 2. This is social proof. Okay, this is a social proof laced blog title, if you will, which means that the type of content that you would be offering in this context is going to be, some combination perhaps of testimonials, a case study or multiple case studies, or just stats from your own testing. Okay, so what this might sound like, for instance, might be, for example, 100,000 visitors and counting. How to double your traffic with simple SEO tweaks. Okay, pretty clear. And also you have the vanity stat, which is a form of social proof. 100,000 visitors and counting, so that adds credibility to it. And here's another example from HubSpot using a social proof type blog post title. They said email was dying. They said email was dying. How BuzzFeed revived the email newsletter. Okay, so this is sharing a case study of how BuzzFeed went about doing a marketing campaign that got a great result, obviously, and you kind of want to learn. There's a little bit of an open loop going on there where you want to learn, okay, well, what does revived mean exactly? So in this case, sometimes, like in this case, being a little bit ambiguous, a little bit vague in the right way, as long as you're being strategic about it, can stoke curiosity. Okay, so there's clarity, but you can also be a little less clear as long as you're stoking curiosity. So how did BuzzFeed do it? What does it mean to revive the email newsletter? Well, you assume it might be clicks. You assume maybe it's something to do with sales, with traffic overall. Also, they said email was dying. The first half, that is implied social proof, because it's just referencing kind of the ambiguous, the wider, I guess, sphere or industry that they're in, which is marketing. All right, people have been saying email is dying and everything is dying every 5 seconds. So, pro tip that you should consider is, whenever it makes the blog post also really interesting if you can be specific. So the first example that I shared, 100,000 visitors and counting, how to double your traffic with simple SEO tweaks. So 100,000 is really good, and the pro tip here is to use stats in your titles, because this itself is also a form of social proof, but the caveat is to use exact stats. So for example, 102,271 visitors and counting would be more believable. Or let me give you another example. Like let's say you're talking about a conversion rate. Parentheses, case study. How a little-known e-commerce store grew their conversion rate by 371%. You could say over 300%. You could say 300+%. But 371%, it sounds more believable. It sounds more believable. So there's some increased credibility there just by making it an exact number. Blog post title number 3. These are listicles or list posts. The concept of listicles was popularized by BuzzFeed. That was pretty much all they did. They did quizzes and listicles, and they got tons and tons of traffic from it. I never really did any of them, but I believe they was kind of ridiculous. Like, what type of cat are you? What meme are you? Who knows? I'm glad I don't know any good examples off the top of my head for that. So Backlinko for listicles, Backlinko, great blog, showed that list-based posts from their research are heavily shared on social media, and they get on an average of 218% more shares than how-to posts. So that's one reason why you want to do a listicle or a list-based post. And just to be clear too, list-based post, or number post. They're the same thing, and what they just mean is, you're saying, 7 smart ways for how to do X, Y, Z. 22 examples of blah, blah, blah. Okay. And, I would relate it back to even the title of the article that goes with this video: 17 blog post title ideas our brains are hardwired to click. And you can read, I'm only giving you 5 here in this video for brevity. Brevity, that's a nice word. But you can read all 17 if you are watching this on YouTube. Click the link in the description, and you can go read all the other types of blog post title ideas that you can model to get more traffic. The link is in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube, it's right underneath that like button, which I encourage you, just give it a nice tap. Don't hit it, don't smash it. Just tap it once. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you, and hope you're getting value from this video and our other videos. And if you are, be sure to hit that subscribe button as well. If you're watching this on HowTo, you can access the full article just by scrolling on down. All right, continuing on with listicles. Neil Patel's data showed that, Neil Patel, maybe you've heard of him, very well-known marketer if you haven't, shows that the higher number your list has, above 100, for example, the better it will perform. I just want to emphasize that that's a correlation, not necessarily causation, but certainly not unreasonable to think that the higher the number, the more traffic you might get, because there could be higher perceived value in a blog post that is longer, more thorough. I do think, though, because if a lot of the searches that I've done, I will often see, in terms of order of how they are ranked, I will often see blog articles that are 9 ways to do XYZ, which will rank higher and therefore more visibly by Google, by Google's AI algorithm, compared to another one that's actually quite more in depth, 59 ways. And I understand, and there's more factors at play, like, for example, the credibility of the blog, how long it's been around, the length of the blog article. So you want to take that correlation with a grain of salt, because part of the reason why articles that are, for example, in Neil Patel's data might actually get more traffic is that the companies that have the time and resources to churn out something that is quality and 100 plus ways to XYZ, they are probably also doing a better job in terms of promotion and editing and just, formatting of content in general. So keep that in mind. Listicles, they're one of the most common types used in highly, and also one of the most highly shared, according to CoSchedule. It is the top blog title type with higher social sharing, with the highest amount of social sharing, according to Backlinko. And they're also, here at AutoGrow, they're the most common type that we write. According to BuzzSumo, the most engaging numbers to use, in terms of number for the number of list items, are 10, 5, 15, and 7. 10, 5, 15, and 7. We found that in general, prime numbers work pretty well, odd numbers too, some of the research shows. Okay. And one final stat on this one: research by Conductor shows that blog titles with numbers in it are readers' favorites by 36%. Blog post title idea number 4, questions. This is a question-based type of blog article in this case. Question-based blog title ideas, they're designed and need to be engineered to pique your readers' interest, their curiosity, entice them to want to answer the question that you're posing. Titles that contain a question mark get 23.3% more social shares than ones that aren't questions, according to Backlinko. This touches on the curiosity gap You could also say that if structured right, it's an open loop as well. Questions, we want to resolve them. We want to have questions answered. An open loop, if you're not familiar, you can Google AutoGrow open loop if you want to read an article on that. But it's a copywriting technique where you open a loop in the reader's mind, and the reader, us as human beings, we naturally want to close that loop. We want to resolve to hear, okay, what was the end of that story? Or, what was the answer, to that question that I connected with that enticed me in the first place? So again, stoking that curiosity gap, which is the gap between what your readers already know and what they want to know. They want to close that loop, for example. Make sure your content for this one really provides an answer to the question. And in general, whatever it is that no matter what blog post title idea you're using or going with, you want to make sure that you're fulfilling your promise. Like when I started writing one blog post article per week, every single week, and these would be, long articles, 3,000 to 5,000, sometimes I went a little bit overboard, 10,000 words, because I wanted to compete. I wanted our articles to do great. I wanted to provide the most comprehensive resource on a specific topic to our readers, and also want to obviously grow our traffic. But what I used to do most commonly while I was writing is two things. Number one, I would pause after each sentence or paragraph. I'd often reread it and say, okay, like, number one, is this giving value to the reader? And number two, does this connect back to the promise made in the title? Is it fulfilling on the promise? If not, delete it. Let's get to the point. Okay, fulfill on your promises. And you can think about this as in sales funnel physics, another law of sales funnel physics, practicing the law of alignment. So this is great for sales pages too. You can tie it in directly to sales pages, but it applies just as much to blogs. On a sales page, for example, let's say, the homepage of our website, we have our unique selling proposition, our USP at the top of the page, right? And what is the point of the rest of the copy on the page if it is not to support that primary USP at the top of the page, to explain it, to make it more clear, to talk about, break down, how do we deliver that unique selling value? It's the same thing with blog posts, okay? So if you promise one thing, but you're not delivering on it, people are not going to convert in terms of, for example, clicking through to other parts of your website funnel or subscribing to your email list, which is what you ultimately want, right? Because traffic is great, but conversions coming all the way down your funnel ultimately are better. All right. Finally, blog post title idea number 5, negative superlatives. Negative superlatives. And this is from the principle of, for better or worse, negativity beats positivity. You can kind of relate it back to in the news business, media. They have the expression. Thinking of a movie all about the news business. What was it with Jake Gyllenhaal? Maybe it will come to me. But anyway, if it bleeds, it leads. If it bleeds, it leads, right? So this is, you can kind of tie that into this a little bit. This is where the blog post title appeals on a level of fear, often a fear of loss, okay? Fear, or most often fear of loss. People are more focused on what, because we tend to, in our brains emotionally, we outweigh, potential benefits. So you might say, well, you could, by doing this, you could get a 50% increase in your sales. But if you perceive it as risking 10% in loss in sales by comparison, you are naturally going to weigh that 10% on an emotional level, that risk higher than the increased 50%. Unless, rationally you can work your way through it. Okay, well, we're going to mitigate the risk by doing X, Y, and Z. So yeah, that risk is there, but we think the probability of success for a 50% increase or whatever it is higher. So our brains, they just naturally weigh and respond to fear and risk of loss compared to potential gains. According to Conversion Excel, negative superlatives in blog titles perform 30% better than the ones with no superlative, and more than 60% higher than positive ones. So pretty stark difference there. A great example of the fear of loss is the stock market, for example. When stocks go down, people desperately want to sell to get out, to not lose any money. I mean, with coronavirus, if you were watching the market or the news in general at that point, it was just like, it was actually the fastest drop in history. And that was in part it was a self-reinforcing mechanism, because the messaging about coronavirus and the fear around it were just ubiquitous, especially today with social media on our phones, 24-hour news cycle, all that stuff. Okay, so people desperately wanted to sell to not lose any money rather than stay in the market and wait for an opportunity to earn more eventually. And now, the stock market has obviously gone back up. So if you write a blog post title that appeals at the level of fear of loss, you're probably going to get a pretty great click-through rate. So for example, we have recently written 2 blog post articles about hiring. And the most recent one that we wrote was about, potential mistakes and red flags to avoid making a bad hire. Now, compared to the previous article that we wrote on hiring, the mistakes one and red flags one, 7 red flags to watch out for so you don't hire the wrong person, that one got, so far, it's already, so the click-through rate, because this is still an ongoing stats that are coming in, the first article got 1% in the first 12 hours since we sent it. And the second one with the red flags has already gotten 1 point, check on it. Yeah, 1.8%. All right. So that's just an example of that type of, playing on the fear of loss. Now, I would caution you, you don't want to just hammer home, negative fear of loss, fear of loss, fear of loss in every blog post, every article. It works, but it's kind of manipulative, honestly. So you want to use it as long as it, because it can hurt your brand too, so you want to keep that in mind. Because if you're just negative and you're constantly just trying to jack up people's emotions just to get attention, it's not so cool. Not so cool. So be cool. Be cool for school, and don't overdo it. All right, but so there you have it. And speaking of driving traffic into your funnel and helping you strategize about what makes great content, and just otherwise helping you to build out your assets, because as I talked about, part of the purpose of driving traffic is to get people onto your email list. So you want to offer great lead magnets, you want to be A/B testing, you want to write great content, you want to do all this stuff, and so much more. Sales pages, copywriting, open loops, all this stuff. If you want to, there's so much to do, but for you as a business owner, as a marketer, as a potential agency owner or coach, what if you could just delegate all of your digital marketing tasks without the headaches of hiring? What if you could do that? Well, with AutoGrow, that's exactly what you can do. AutoGrow is like project management software, where there's already proven professionals inside the software ready and waiting to just get the work done for you. These are copywriters, designers, developers, strategists, project managers, quality assurance specialists, and more. And it's just an awesome product. It's a flat monthly fee, and you can try it out risk-free. It's just a $7 for 7-day trial. And we offer that as a special right now because we just want to make it easy for you to try us out. So go ahead. I encourage you, check us out at autogrow.co if you're looking to get work off your plate And if you're looking, again, to delegate your digital marketing tasks and projects without the headaches of having to go out and hire people. So my name is Matt Ockerson. Thank you so much for watching this. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. And as always, keep converting and stay focused. I'll see you next time.